Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. So I am going to just dive right in. Today's video is September favorites. I have not filmed a monthly favorites in a few weeks now. I mean, I filmed my August ones a little bit earlier in the month just because I had a lot going on. September was pretty crazy too. I had a lot of festivities in September. I had a wedding I was in, so I used, a fair bit amount of makeup, but these are the products this for the month of September that really kind of brought my attention. First off, I want to mention that the last couple of nail visits, I have been using shellac, so I don't have the name of the nail colors that I have been wearing. I really should take a picture of it and keep it as a note, but I just keep forgetting. But I promise the next time I go in, I will definitely try to remember to write down the name for you guys so I can let you know. This is shellac. Honestly, it looks like the colors that I have with regular polish. I've been liking shellac recently only because I find that it lasts a lot longer on my nails. I don't have to worry about constantly having to take it off and reapply it, even though I don't mind applying my nail polish every few days because I like changing up the color. As your nail grows out and you start to see the space, it's just a little more challenging to change your nail polish and make it look really crisp. So they kind of stay crisp until my next visit, which is usually about 3 weeks. I wait about 3 weeks. So that is what shellac is on my hands, and I actually have them on my toes from the wedding in September, and they've been actually holding up pretty well. So I think for shellac on the toes, I used to do my pedicures every month in the summer, but now I think I might do them every 2 months in the winter and fall time, just because the shellac lasts a lot longer on my toes as well. So that has been my number one favorite for September, is using shellac for my hands and feet. I just find that it's just more manageable and, less of a worry. Also, too, I'm testing out the shellac to see if they'll last long, so that next year when I go on my trip, that is what I'll be using before I leave for my trip in April. So with that said, I'm going to dive into the products that I have been loving. For those of you who might be wondering what's on my eyes today, the palette is not in this video because I have been playing more with that palette in October. I've been loving that palette as well, so stay tuned for October favorites. At the end of October, you will see what that palette is. I have been really digging this palette, so for those of you who have an eye, you probably already know what this palette is, but I'm not going to say until my October favorites. Anyways, going on to September, we have to jump a month back. So September, again, like I said, I was in a wedding. I had to do makeup, more so for myself than anyone else. But I did love this particular palette for that time of the year for bridal. I was wearing the it's like a blushing bridesmaid's dress, and these particular tones from the Too Faced Peaches and Cream palette were basically right up my alley for that particular look. So this is the palette I used. I actually used this palette more so most of September than pretty much any other palette and any other eyeshadow palette that I do own. This is a newer palette. I know that it had been released, I think it was like end of August, if I'm not mistaken. This has just been a great palette. It's an all matte palette. It's very well loved and used. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have used and abused it to quite a bit. The shadows are they're very tightly packed in the pans, so there is a little amount of kick up, in my opinion, with these matte shadows. I have to say, for Too Faced shadows, I'm very impressed with the palette, because I do like their chocolate bar palette, but their holiday palettes I'm not really a fan of. So when I picked this up, I kind of had high hopes for it, but inside I was thinking, okay, if it's shit, then I'll just return it. But it ended up being a fabulous palette. It's got all matte shadows. I think Peach Sangria down here, sorry, I don't want to blind you guys. Peach Sangria down here that's like this purple, it's got a little bit of a sheen to it, but that's the only one that really has any kind of sheen to it. Everything else is strictly matte. I just love these for everyday. I find that for everyday use, these are great for me. My skin tone loves peachy undertones. I've been obsessed with peachy undertones. And in September, that is pretty much all I wore on my eyes, on my lips, and on my nails. I had a peachy nail polish color. So this is great. They are very pigmented. They are blendable. They are easy to use. They're not they're not pressed pigments, they're eyeshadows. So when you do dip your brush, you might get a tiny bit of kick up, but not as much as you would considering like the Subculture palette by Anastasia. So, you know, these are, you know, decently pressed. My favorite shade is actually the lightest shade here, which is just peachy. It's this shade right here. I love this for the transition. I love this for the transition. I love this and this for the transition. I use more of these ones. Actually, I use this one for my lid, and I use these more to set my eyeshadow base. And then these darker ones for either the lid or for like deepening up the crease. So these are great options. I do love them. The packaging is stunning. Too Faced did a really good job with the velvet mattes. I really do think that, you know, the palette's worth $55. Now, for $55, you're getting 12 matte eyeshadows. In each pan, you're looking at 1.25 grams, which is a total of 15 grams of product. Now, let's face it, people. 15 grams of product for eyeshadow is, I would say, is quite a lot. And frankly, I don't think I'll finish a full eyeshadow palette in a lifetime. I might hit pan, but I probably won't finish a full eyeshadow palette. That's just me being realistic. So for the amount of product you get, you know, $55, kind of steep, but I would say it's worth it because it's an all matte palette. Do I think that they could have dropped the price a bit? Yeah, I think they could have dropped it down to like 50 or even 45. I think that personally is where I think this particular product is worth 45 to 50. 55 is a little steep, and this is Canadian dollars, keep in mind. But I do think that, you know, if you're someone who uses matte shadows all the time, you definitely would get a lot of use out of them, especially if you are a peachy warm tone lover. So that has been a favorite. Next up is my highlight. So, you know, I'm a highlighting queen. I do wear highlight pretty much every time I wear makeup. Sometimes if I'm not even wearing makeup, I'll just stick a little highlighter on the high points of my face to kind of let me glow a little. Now, I do have a ton of highlighters, but the one highlighter that I have been gravitating towards for the month of September has been the Bobbi Brown highlighter. What is this called? This is the highlighting powder in Bronze Glow. Now, I wore this again for the wedding, and it was stunning. Like, you guys, it's pretty much liquid gold. That's how I can describe it. The powder formulation is a drier formulation, so you might think that the formulation is a little bit on the dry side, but I don't mind that. And if I just, you know, use a little Fix Plus on my brush, it, you know, it does the same thing as any other highlighter does. So I do have to admit that the formulation is a tad bit on the dry side. If you don't mind the drier formulas, this is a great one. It's very pigmented, very gold, and so gorgeous on deeper skin tones as well. I mean, my tan is fading because I was really dark for the wedding. I did like a mixture of self-tanning, and I did layer upon layer so I could get really dark, which was really nice. It actually turned out really well. But I'm kind of fading away now just because I have to go into a like a daytime emergency procedure next week, so I can't really reapply my self-tanner. But this on dark skin tone girls, you would love this shade, Bronze Glow by Bobbi Brown. So you could tell I've been loving it because look at the disaster I've made in the compact already. I've definitely given it some serious love. So that one is a good highlighter as well. By the way, Bobbi Brown does have a pinkier undertoned highlight as well for those of you who are more fairer skin. So that one's just more gold and more for, you know, medium to dark skin tones, but they do have one that is a little bit more on the pinkier side for those light skin toned girls and guys. Now, moving on, I have a lip product here. It's not what I'm wearing today, unfortunately, but this is the Dose of Colors satin, what is this? It's their satin lipstick. Excuse me, in their satin lipstick in the shade Brulee. I did a video on this, you guys, and I'm sure you've seen these shades in my last video of it. This was just a very simple pinky nude that I wore to the wedding as well, just for something that kind of, not muted, but kept my lips more on the less dramatized side, because I did dramatize my eyes more so for the wedding. So this one I did like. I popped it in my purse quite a lot in the month of September just because it was just an easy color to use, and I didn't have to use a lip liner with it as well if I didn't want to. So Brulee by Dose of Colors satin lipstick, that has been another favorite. Now, for those of you who are into the skincare, I do have quite a bit of skin stuff. So I'm going to first, let me get rid of the hair product, because I do have a hair product. This hair product is the L'Oreal Root Cover Up Temporary Gray Concealer Spray in the shade Black. You know, I was in between colors. I did have a few grays come out in the middle of the month, and I didn't want to color my hair right away because my hair is quite dark as it is, and I didn't really need to color it except for those little peekaboo grays. So this has been a lifesaver to spray into my roots for temporary coverage just until I get to my next color. So this will wash out after 1 or 2 washes. So what I say usually is this is kind of like a day-to-day like maintenance thing. If you don't want to color your hair, you know, right away every 4 weeks, this will kind of extend it another like week or 2 if you want to, you know, extend it a little longer. So I have been loving this. This is a drugstore product. I picked mine up at Walmart for about $13. I think it's well worth it, especially if you are trying to cut down on your coloring sessions. Okay, so my primer, I have 2 primers actually for the month of September. My first primer is the Too Faced Proactive Nourishing Hangover RX Primer. As you can see, I'm pretty much almost finished with this puppy. This is such a great primer. I use this more for hydrating purposes before I apply my makeup. This is, I find that it hydrates my skin and smooths my skin at the same time, but doesn't smooth my skin enough. So more for the hydrating purpose of it all, I like using this. You do get 1.35 fluid ounces. It's very expensive. It's around $48, I think, maybe 50. I think it's 48 Canadian. I can't really remember, but it's around there. I did repurchase it because it is such a great product. I am testing out another couple of coconut probiotic primers from different companies to kind of give you a comparison of them. So stay tuned for that video. But this is a good one. I do like this one from Too Faced. I'm actually really surprised because Too Faced skincare I never really thought would be that great. And then when I did try this out, I was quite surprisingly impressed. So this has been a love for September as well. Now, sticking with Too Faced, I do have another primer here. This is the Primed and Peachy Cool Matte Skin Perfecting Primer, infused with peach and sweet fig cream. So this one is a little bit different than this one. This one is more for hydrating and for reviving the skin and keeping it more plump, like as if it was, you know, healthy and glowy type of thing. It doesn't leave a greasy feeling. This one is more of like a silicone type of product. I don't think it has silicone in it. However, it does have like, this is more lotiony for hydrating, and this is more pore filling. So I don't use this all over my face. What I like to do with this one is what I'll do first is I'll apply my Hangover RX all over my face for hydration. Let that sink in, and then I'll go in with the Cool Matte Skin Perfecting Primer. I'll take a pump. I will just concentrate it here around where I have big pores, and that's where they will fill in my pores, and this actually does smooth them out, and it is cooling at the same time, so it is quite refreshing. I did buy a backup of this because I really do love it. I still have a full bottle, but I did buy the backup because I do plan on bringing this with me when I go to Jamaica next year, so have been loving that. Next up is my foundation of the month. My foundation of the month has been the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. Oil-free, 24-hour wear, oil controlling, and photo friendly. So I use this for the day of the wedding, amongst other occasions in the month of September. I just love Too Faced's packaging when it comes to their liquid skin products. I like the fact that it comes with a pump, and that like you're getting all of the product out that you can possibly get out of the company, right? So the same idea with these. These are pumps as well, which is a great. It's a great idea. I love that fact. I love how that, the only thing is though, is you can't really tell when you're, like, I guess you could tell when you're running out because of how thin it is. It does get quite thin as you use it up. So as you can see, I have a little bit left down here, and that's pretty much it, whatever's left in there. So I guess you can kind of tell when you're starting to run out. But I wish they had kind of made a tiny little window just to kind of get a better idea, because you never know. Sometimes you're in the middle of doing your makeup and you run out of your favorite foundation. You're kind of like, ugh, I don't have a backup. So that's the only thing, but it's not like a make it or break it deal breaker for me. I still love it, and I do have another shade. This one is in sand, but I do have one that's a tad bit lighter for when I'm in the winter time. So I have been loving this. It does do, I think it is 14-hour wear, and I do think it is oil controlling because it did not leave my face an oil slick the day of the wedding. And the day of the wedding, it was super hot. The wedding was outside. The ceremony was outside. My face was in the sun all afternoon, and this did not break up at all. So you know, with the 2 primers combined and the foundation, perfect cocktail. That's all I can say. Perfect cocktail. Okay, so my final 2 products, you guys, is skincare, strictly skincare. First off, I have my L'Oreal Youth Code Texture Perfector Serum Concentrate. I did find these at Target, no, not Target, TJ Maxx for $6. These are like normally $20 Canadian, and they're hard to find now in Canada. I think they have revamped the line and called it something else because it's no longer Youth Code in our drugstores anymore. The Texture Perfector Concentrated Serum is my favorite because it keeps my skin looking smooth. Like, I have never had my skin this great until I started using this particular product, and it's a drugstore product. So I did buy 3. I used 1 up already. You will see that in my empties. This is my second one, and the third one I gave to my mother because she needed a serum, so I gave her the third one. But this is so great, and I like to check my TJ Maxx stores for these because that's where I usually find them, and they are so affordable. They make your skin look stunning. I get so many compliments from women, especially when they say your skin looks so smooth. Like, what do you do? What is it that you do? And even though I have to say that this does help a lot, I do put a lot of effort and work into my skincare routine. So that does kind of go into, you know, in conjunction with using this particular serum. This is a great serum. It's affordable. If you guys can find it at your local TJ Maxx, definitely pick it up and try it out. For $6, you cannot go wrong. I have been loving this. So at nighttime, what I like to do is I will put on my serum, I will put on my eye cream, which I have been testing different eye creams out to see which ones I like most, so stay tuned for that. And once my serum sinks in, I like to put a heavy cream on my face before bed so that my skin is very, very hydrated and luscious in the morning. Excuse me, I have hiccups, I'm not sure why. So what I've been using recently in the last month and a half is the Clarins Hydro Quench Cream Mask for Dehydrated Skin. Now this says to leave on for 5 to 10 minutes and then smooth away any excess with a cotton ball, so it's not really a rinsing type of mask. You can leave it on overnight, and any excess you can, you know, wash away in the morning. So that's what I like to do with this one. This is a product that is made in France, which is a very, very, you know, I would say high-end product. Because of that, it does not clog my pores, which is great because I get the hydration I need in my skin, but I don't get the clogged pores because I'm leaving it on overnight. What I find with the Glam Glow Thirsty Mud mask, if I leave that on overnight, I will wake up in the morning with clogged pores and breakouts. That's because that mask in particular is not made for leaving on longer than like a half an hour or so. This one is definitely one I can leave on overnight, and it does my face wonders. Like, my skin is just so plump and hydrated. I just love this stuff. Now, I have a little bit left. I think I have like that much left. You get 2.7 fluid ounces of this stuff, so it does last you for a while, and because it's so thick, you don't need to use too much of it. But I do love it. It is great. I mean, you could still use it as a regular mask and just leave it on for 5 to 10 minutes, and then, you know, with a cotton swab, you know, tap away any excess. But I just like using this as a hydrating night mask and leaving it like that. So it does great for my skin personally. It is a little bit more on the expensive side because it is Clarins. Clarins products are usually more pricier. But you know what, I have to say, I don't mind spending the extra money in my skincare on stuff that is going to sink into my skin because I know that they are going to be beneficial for me in the long run, opposed to buying, you know, a $300 eyeshadow palette where I know that that's not really going to benefit my skin in any way in the future. I would never consider buying a Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette for that much. You know what I mean? So I kind of weigh my options and what I think is more worth it. And to me, spending more on my skincare opposed to an eyeshadow palette just means more to me than the other way around. That's just my opinion. That's what I have been taught by the experts around me in my family. So that's kind of what I've learned. But that's just me. You guys are up to your own opinions. But yeah, so that has been my September favorites, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know down below if any of the products that I've shown you here today you have tried, you have used. Let me know. I am not sure if we'll see if well, you know what? I do have a few pre-filmed videos, so I may put up a couple videos next week. I don't know exactly if I will be putting up a giveaway next week yet or not. I haven't really made a decision yet on that. For those of you who did enter my Kylie and Coco Collection lip set giveaway. Thank you so much to all of those of you who joined and who signed up. I did choose my winner. I did contact her. She did respond, and she did send me her address. So I am in the midst of sending her her prize. So thank you again. I will let you guys know who she is once she gets her prize in the mail, which might be another couple of weeks because of where she lives. But anyways, with that said, keep in mind, don't feel bad. I do have other giveaways coming. I'm trying to plan a really, decent size holiday giveaway for you guys. So, keep that in mind. Stay tuned. I do have little giveaways on my channel now and then with little items that I kind of set aside for you guys. To kind of share with you, because sometimes I get things in PR, or sometimes I just get extra in sets that I don't need, and I'll split them up, and whatever I know I wouldn't use, I definitely put to the side for future giveaways for you guys, because I'd rather share the wealth than just hoard it all and it go bad. So with that said, let me know down below what you've seen in this video that you've tried or you've liked, or maybe you want to try, and I will leave it at that. Thank you so much all for joining. I love you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Don't forget to like this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye. Mwah.